What's up, guys? It's WMMA here with an event breakdown of UFC Fight Night Apex Burns vs Morales. Now, let's not get into the fights real quick. Let me just recap how these prelims are looking. Tecia Pennington, Luana Pinhead. Nobody cares. Carlos Pipsqueak Hernandez. Nobody cares. And I know he's fighting an undefeated prospect. Name a win that guy has. Right? You can. Yeah, exactly. You can. Elise Reed, who's lost 4 times in the UFC, has been finished every time. Outstanding. How is she not going to decision? Great, I guess, right? But still, fighting a gnome, Denise Gnome. Who cares? Oh, it doesn't get better. Because we got Luana Santos versus Tainara Lisboa. Who cares? Oh, yeah. And Gabe Green versus whoever this guy is, right? Who cares? But the thing is, look at his just search up whoever this bum is, highlight reel, and it's actually very entertaining. Crafty ground game, crazy knockout power, but no one knows who he is, right? So it's another who cares. Jared Gordon and Thiago Moisés, it's a good fight. But then I realized, wait. I go to the main card. Solid main card, right? For finishes and not really prospects per se, but fun fights. And it's like, there's 5 fights here. Why is there 5 fights here? Wait, Gabe Green's supposed to be on the main card. This is weird. So I go to the UFC. There's got to be someone missing on the prelims, right? Go to the no, prelims are still looking the same. But when I was researching this card last night on Tapology, I was like, there's a fight missing. Oh, Connor Matthews. Did this fight get canceled and Tapology hasn't updated it? What's with this? Go to Sherdog. No, he's still here. He's still here. Oh, I go to his Instagram, right? Oh, I love when my computer does this. And, he's at the UFC PI. Oh, he's posting UFC official posters on his story. This card is so shit. The UFC is not even putting all the fighters that are on the card on their official website or when you search up UFC. It doesn't show up either. Round of applause. Woo! Another shit, horrible Apex night. But let's get into it. Let's break down each fight. By the way, I'm breaking down the women's fights. There's timestamps in the description for a reason. Get to them. But Tecia Pennington versus Luana Pinhead. Luana Pinheiro. Tecia Pennington actually kind of underrated. Beat a lot of Okay, both of them have beaten nobodies, but Tecia Pennington has beaten more nobodies. I think she has a losing record in the UFC. But the thing is, she has some super close split decisions, first of all, with Tabitha Ricci and Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern won. She should have won. She got pregnant, took some time off, had another close fight, blah, blah, whatever, right? And then you look at her losses. Dude, she's actually fought the who's who of strawweight. And I know women's division, but still. She's fought Rose, Joanna, Whaley. I want to throw Marina Rodriguez in there, but those people are actually legends, right? So she fought those. And yes, she clearly lost to all those, but there's rounds in there where she made it very competitive. Not in the Whaley fight, but I think at the Joanna fight, the Rose fight, there's rounds where she outstruck them or made it even or stuff like that. What has Luana Pinheiro done anywhere near that level? Sure, she was outdoing Amanda Ribas. Still got spinning head kick finished by her. That is so hard to unsee. Barely beat Michelle Watterson. And I know, Tecia Pennington beat Michelle Watterson, I think, pretty clearly, while Luana Pinheiro is barely scraping by, right? Also, since the spinning wheel kick to the head, she has lost both fights since then. I don't remember to who, but just not picking her. Tecia Pennington shouldn't be opening this card. This is a ranked strawweight fight. This should be closer up, but I know she's consistently boring. Tecia Pennington, 29-28. Will you be shot? Actually, Luana Pinheiro, I think she's just on a slip, and she ain't got no more momentum. No more momentum. No more momentum, of course. Tecia Pennington is going to beat her ass. And when I say beat her ass, yes, 29-28. Moving on. I don't like that I have a lot to say about these fights because they suck so much ass. Okay. So, Hyun Sung Park literally beating random bums. Dude, he beat Shannon Ross. And if you have ever been on IG Reels, you've seen Shannon Ross getting turned into a chicken strip by Jesus Aguilar. That's literally a nobody. You should have finished him sooner. Sad to say that, right? And then, the thing is, We'll talk about Carlos Hernandez first. Carlos Hernandez, he likes losing to good undefeated Asian prospects, and I know he beat Tumen Dembarel, whoever the I'm not gonna say his name right. That weird Mongolian guy though, or is he Korean? I don't remember, but he beat Tumen Dembarel, right? But it was a barely scraped by decision that could have gone to the other guy. I think the right pick in that fight was Hernandez, but very fight. And then also loses to Ray Saruya. Or we had a good third round of pinning him down and doing no damage. And he clearly loses to Tatsuro Tai, where he just got absolutely ran through, right? And here's another. Why is this guy getting a bunch of undefeated Asian prospects? Maybe it's just because flyweight is the Asian era now. The road to UFC is alive. Maybe it's that. It's like when Dana White Contender Series woke up and now all the Contender Series prospects are doing good. But I think Carlos Hernandez, you look at there's a lot of nobody wins, but his two solid. The two decent wins are Daniel Perez, who has now not looked good at all since, and Victor Altamirano, which I couldn't tell you a person Victor Altamirano fought other than Carlos Hernandez, right? And he also beat Dennis Bondar, who's 0-3 in the UFC, but he's barely scraping by all these split decisions. And you look, the thing is, I'm not big into Hyun Sung Park. I don't think he's going to be much, but Carlos Hernandez is going to a bunch of split decisions. Almost all of his fights are decisions, or at least Hyun Sung Park is getting finishes. That's the big difference here. Carlos Hernandez has had his shin cracked. He's been controlled on the ground. He's had big moments. And the thing is, the Dembarel fight, Tumen Dembarel fight, I hate saying his name over and over again, but it was super close. And I think he doesn't have barely any ground game. And Carlos Hernandez wasn't doing good to control him or show anything. Or it's like you're leaps ahead of this guy. So I think Hyun Sung Park maybe finishes. Maybe he gasses though too. That's the thing. But Hyun Sung Park round 2 rear naked choke. Hernandez is he's gonna sell this fight honestly. But Hyun Sung Park by finish. Moving on to I'm gonna not spend time on this fight at all. Here's the thing. Only UFC losses. Denise Gomes is to Angela Hill, Loma Lookboom, who are decent. Elise Reed coming off a win against 42-year-old Jessica Penne. And also has, as I said earlier, has been finished in all 4 of her UFC losses. And sure, some of them are to not complete bums, like Loma Lookboom too. But 4 finished losses. We are going to realize. Think of what happened on the last card, dude. The woman fights. Sure, we had the exception to the rule with Jasmine Jasudavicius, because she's a consistent finisher. She's an outlier among women's fights. Look at the other women's fights on the card. I had to staple my eyelids open to barely stay awake through it. I stapled my eyelids open, friggin' put little shock clamps on my nipples, and I was still about to fall asleep. And Elise Reed is still consistently getting finished somehow. I don't get it. I don't know how you're still in the UFC like this. Maybe they want to keep somewhat an entertaining fight at least alive in the UFC women's divisions, and they need people like this for the chance to get prospects any bit of hype. But still, Denise Gomes is going to flatline KO her round 1. Probably not. Probably going to stink it up somehow still, but just look at them too, right? Cover all the stats on your screen and just look at them. Who are you picking? Let's move on, though. Luana Santos versus Tainara Lisboa. Fucked her name up in the intro. Who cares? Oh. Can't wait. A near evens women's fight where they have no substantial win on the record that makes you pick either. Yeah. So, Luana Santos, 3-1 UFC, but lost to Casey O'Neill. Yeah. That Casey O'Neill. That. You don't know how hard it is to be a UFC fighter. Yeah. That Casey O'Neill. And then the thing is, Tainara Lisboa, 2-0 in the UFC. She's lost to Norma Dumont, but that's like, I think it was almost 10 years ago now. That's the thing. Like, lost to Norma Dumont a decade ago. And I'm looking at their career, and I'm just sitting there, and it's like, it's 4 a.m. What am I doing looking at this? And then one has an 86% finish rate, the other has a 62. That's literally what I'm basing this off of. Also, in a pretty close fight, just pick the underdog in this, right? There's always a 29-28 that seems to slip out of the favorite's hands for absolutely no reason. Lisboa is the one with the 86% finish rate, by the way. Picking her by 29-28 decision. Don't think she's going to get it, but maybe does a little more, threatens a little more. Maybe that's what that means. Who cares? Now. Now we can talk about fights that matter. Thank you. Oh, this fight's actually pretty damn good. Jared Gordon. Thing is, yes, he's basically been scammed over and over and over again in the UFC. Right out of the Paddy Pimblett fight, had the Bobby Green fight. Oh, there's another one too. I'm blank on it, but the thing is, he was kind of just, even though he's getting scammed, outside of the Marco Madsen fight, he's been outstandingly mediocre. That's what it's felt like. Nothing crazy. I want to talk about Thiago Moisés though more here. Thiago Moisés did get obliterated by Ludovic Klein. That did happen. But I still think he's grossly underrated. That Trey Ogden win was very impressive. Dude, that's going to be the most hardcore thing I say all month. Oh, did you see that Trey Ogden win? But after that, of course, he finishes Mitchell Martinez. Who is that guy? Of course he's going to finish him. And thing is, he got finished by Benoit Saint Denis, which aged horribly. But then again, he finished Melquizael Costa, who's later up on the card, which aged wonderfully. But I think those wins are a little too far back. And 2023, 3 years ago, but still, for what we're talking about now, I think they don't mean as much. Those guys have changed. Not much Benoit Saint Denis, that's the thing. But Jared Gordon's also 35. Thiago Moisés, I don't know how, but he's 30 only. With all the competition, all the crazy fights he's had, I don't know how he's only 30. But still, I think I'm going to pick Thiago Moisés. This might be a boring clinch, little shit fest, but Thiago Moisés, good leg kicks. Jared Gordon does a decent job avoiding them. But then again, his chin has been quite inconsistent throughout his career. Thiago Moisés has found his striking a little better, especially in the last few fights. A little more confident in his hooks, in his boxing. And the wrestling, the clinch game that Jared Gordon loves doing. Thiago Moisés has had so much experience in the last few years, just fighting people who are very strong in clinch. Example, Islam. Now, the Islam fight is a little misconstruing because I don't know how Islam took 4 rounds to finish Thiago. Maybe he's playing it safe, but still. Thiago Moisés has proved a lot in his last few fights. I'm picking him probably by decision, but a pretty clear one. 30-27 or 29-28, but still obvious him. Moving on. Gabe Green. Now let me put you guys on game, because I know none of you want to search up who the fuck this guy is. But, what was it? Matheus Camilo? I love the... Camilo has aura, bro. Camilo Cabello. Something Camilo I can name, but come on, that's an aura name, first of all. But he has nasty power, as I was saying earlier. Actually, we'll talk about the striking first. Solid leg kicks. That's another thing. He keeps his guard decently low, I noticed. I wasn't a fan of it, but watching his highlights, he actually plays off of it pretty well. He keeps his distance with his guard low. I don't know, someone can blitz in Rock Cube or whatever, but keeps his guard decently low, works with his range, kills the other guy's movement with leg kicks, and just fights from the outside. And he uses that lower guard to get the underhooks right away when any grappling exchange happens, which I think is going to be pretty important in this game group fight, because this motherfucker loves clinching. Love those little double underhooks, but Camilo fights for them right away, keeps himself on the outside, and when it does get to the ground, he is so crafty, going for them weird-ass submissions. I think he's pretty good. He might get fraud checked. Gabe Green, see, another thing is, Gabe Green, I really did want to pick up. His last 2 losses are Brian Battle and Ian the Fairy Gary. But look at his wins. He beat Johan Lenesi. That guy literally lactates soy, dude. And Phil Rowe. And when you think of Phil Rowe, here's the thing. Phil Rowe is a moron. Is a complete idiot. So think of this. We have, when Jack Della Maddalena fought Basil Fez, right? He kept pulling guillotine. And it was annoying because you knew he was better than that. He's like, dude, you're being a moron. Stop pulling gilly. Fight the dude. You're a better boxer. When Philip Rowe makes dumb decisions, you're not frustrated like you are with Jack Della, right? You're more like, oh. You almost start cheering. You're like, Phil Rowe masterclass. Another moron made decision because he's an idiot. So, of course, Gabe Green beat him, right? Not a crazy win. So you think of that and you look at his wins, and it's not that impressive. I think... Also, long layoff after a pretty nasty KO. It's going to be hard to find his footing, especially early on. Usually when people come back, they get their spark back in the later rounds, and that's not what you want to happen against a guy like Camilo. Crazy knockout power, crazy submission ability. I'm picking a finish. I think that's why they opened the main card with this. I think Matheus Camilo is actually a pretty good prospect. Moving on though, Julian Erosa versus Melquizael Costa. I'm a Melquizael Costa glazer. I've glazed him for the last 2 fights. I've been all over him. I won't shut the hell up. And Andre Fili, out of his last 2, by the way, he's fought. I think it was, he fought February, March, late March, and now is fighting in May. So he's on a but Julian Erosa, I think, fought 314. So both of them are staying insanely active. No excuses here, right? The thing is, Melquizael Costa, I think his best win is Andre Fili. And that was the first win he got of this last 3-fight streak, right? But the thing is, Andre Fili kind of did just troll it. He was like, hey, let me put my head in a guillotine, though. And then just tapped instantly. And it was like, oh, I don't know about that quality of that win, right? But then after that, the Christian Rodriguez win was actually very, very impressive. Dogged it out with Christian Rodriguez. Christian Rodriguez doesn't get no robbery this time. Thank you. Not robbery. I'm not saying every fight's a robbery, but there was one in it. Let's be real. Melquizael Costa showed that even though his wrestling wasn't the strongest, he kept getting foot swept in the 3rd round. Dude, his ground game was very, very well. Like, it was so locked in, dude. Second he's on the bottom, flip you over, reverse you, get on top, control you. The second you give this guy an inch on the ground, it's all in his game. Doesn't let any room take over, right? And the thing is, his striking on the outside is very beautiful too. It's just the clinch where he starts to get broken, he starts to wait, and he starts to get controlled. But the striking on the outside is spinning kicks, his leg kicks, his little jabs. They're all very strong, very good moves, and he will always outpoint you until you make a big difference, right? And now we talk about Julian Erosa. Dude, the only way I see him winning is if he pulls out a big old BSD, ducks his head straight forward, marauders ahead, and just gasses Melquizael Costa out. But I don't like, how many times out of 10 do you want to bet on that happening? 3 times out of 10? 4 times even? I think the majority of this fight is going to be, majority times you run back this fight, it's going to be Costa, touch him out from the outside, grappling exchanges happening, and him just holding his back for a round. Holding side control for a round. Sure, Julian Erosa can get a big old fluky head kick out of nowhere, but he's not consistent. Right? Like, I don't know. He's just not doing what Melquizael Costa has been doing in his last fights. Julian Erosa is one of the most inconsistent guys, and when you put him against a guy, finishing power, by the way, finishing ability, and I know he got finished by Steve Garcia, but that's not a bad loss. Who else did he get finished? Oh, yeah, the other. I don't like that he lost to Moisés, but outside of that, has some finishing power, and I can see him finishing Erosa. Erosa's chin, I thought was pretty solid, but you look throughout his career, and that's how he's getting caught. That's how he's losing his big fight. He'll sure outskill some of the guys, but then just caught with a head kick from Caceres here, right? I don't know, that's not the best example, but there's so many other ones on his career. Just look. But Melquizael Costa, I think by decision. Julian Erosa is pretty tough, even though I said he always gets finished. It's pretty tough. Ride it out. Probably win a 3rd round. 29-28 for Costa. Moving on, though. Dustin Stoltzfus. I didn't click on the last fight. I don't know what I'm doing. Dustin Stoltzfus versus Nursulton Ruziboev. Dude, I sadly have this fight really close. I wanted to pick Dustin Stoltzfus, but just look at his record. Gets signed, beating Joe Pyfer on the Contender Series by injury. Okay, not impressive. Then after that, loses 3 fights in a row. Oh, okay, so he's not meant for the UFC. Getting finished here, right? Just touched up there. And then, I don't remember who he beats, but he beats some bum. Then he gets spinning elbowed by Bruno Ferreira. And then also gets finished by Abus Magomedov. And then, sure, he beats Marc-Andre Barriot, but the Barry boy just got a little too excited, ducked his head down, and started slugging when he should have against Dustin Stoltzfus, who I think has improved. He's not that same guy that got signed off an injury win and lost back to back to back. But this is also just Ruziboev. Dustin Stoltzfus has had problems against these early start power guys. Marc-Andre Barriot is not. He is an early starter who likes putting the pressure on, but he's not a early start power guy where he just knocks you out in one. And I know he just did that, but come on, that's an exception to the rule. Ruziboev is that guy, is that blitz you like Abus Nurmagomedov, hit you with that long range you want to, teep to the body, front kick up the middle, right to the head like Abus did. He just got that power from the outside that Dustin Stoltzfus doesn't deal with early. Oh, Dustin Stoltzfus also beat Pumeli Soriano, which that kind of goes against everything I'm saying. But off night, exception to the rule. No, but I think mostly out of that, it's still consistent to what I'm saying. Ruziboev is going to touch him up, is going to hurt him from the outside, finish him early. This is a Ruziboev, by the way, not drained, cutting to 170. So even if he doesn't get that early finish, he's still just going to play the point game from the outside, out-touch him, and be safe for the later rounds because he's not cutting a shit ton of weight. Moving on. Super Sodiq Yusuff versus Marlon Santos. And now, I don't know why this fight was made. Let me give you a brief history on what Super Sodiq Yusuff, what his career has looked like in the UFC. So comes in the UFC, fights 4 times, wins 4 times, and they're all bums, yes, but that's the start of a UFC career, right? And after his 4 wins, fights Arnold Allen in the Apex, makes it a extremely competitive fight for what it was, because he got rocked with a head kick, got rocked another time, getting rocked back-to-back, still stayed in the fight, still won the 3rd round, still made it a dogfight, was very impressive, like especially against a guy like Arnold Allen, right? Who I beat up in the gym. No, that's a lie, but I met him. And then beat Alex Caceres, which aged outstandingly. Caceres is such a good win. And then beat some random tomato can that I can't remember the name of, right? And after that, loses to Edson Barboza, where he almost had him finished, fumbled the finish, right? But still stayed in there, got the shit kicked at him for the rest of the 4 rounds, but was still fighting back, didn't give up any point on the way, and still was there. His cardio never gave up on him. He was still throwing. Very impressive. And it's like, okay, you lost your big step up, your 5-round main event. You weren't ready for it, but you still showed you're at that level. You know what you need to improve. Then you fight at UFC 300 against Diego Lopez. Gets finished, but it's like, oh, it's still Diego Lopez. And since then, I forgot who Sodiq Yusuff was. Like, I remember the name. I remember who he was. But I was like, oh, he lost a bunch of fights. He's not the same guy anymore. Then you look back at his record. It's Arnold Allen, Edson Barboza, Diego Lopez. Those are the losses. Are you kidding me? This is such a... And like relative to who Marlon Santos is beating, Sodiq Yusuff's record is so much better, right? You look at Marlon Santos, who, although he's a very good fighter, he made it a dead even fight with Francis Marshall. That was one big exchange from going the other guy's way. You could even score it for Francis Marshall, but on damage scoring, Marlon Santos probably wins it. Not too long ago, he did win the Ultimate Fighter. He's a very fresh face in the UFC. He's a very clean and technical guy, but sometimes it's feeling like it's getting too clean and technical, taking too much time on the outside. Waiting. Waiting for what? Waiting for, oh, now you're down 2 rounds, right? And now you need to scrape back a crazy 3rd round finish. Are you really going to bank on that, right? Sodiq Yusuff, I think, is a very, very obvious pick. I think the odds are weirdly... Let me just check what the odds are looking like on... Oh, I still have to cover... I'm going to cover that fight in a sec. Don't worry. Yeah. Marlon Santos... Or Myron Santos... Oh, I've been calling Marlon the entire time. Myron Santos is the favorite right now. Even if the odds sway, this fight being evens to me is insane. I think crazy value on Sodiq Yusuff. Why are we forgetting who he is? Now let's do the bum fight before I move on to where did I put this bum fight? Before I move on to the main or co-main, Conor Matthew 0-2 in the I'll make it super quick. Conor Matthew 0-2 in the UFC, been finished both times, and he's not Nicholas Mota, who can come back. I love Nicholas Mota. I used to hate him, but I love him. Versus Yadier. I don't know this guy's name. Cuban guy though, and Yadier. He goes to the decision a lot, but he's 8-0, and he has fought a lot of cans, but sprinkled in between them. Beat a 7-0 guy at one point. And on the Contender Series, at least he beat a 17-4 guy who's not in the UFC, but at least has a bunch of experience. Versus another guy who's just consistently getting knocked out. Who am I going to pick? I'm going to pick Yadier, the Cuban guy. I'll know your name when Brendan Fitzgerald says it because it's going to be a shit Apex card. So, of course, good commentators aren't going to be there. We're going to have Laura Sanko, Brendan Fitzgerald, and then roll in Dominic Cruz to make me annoyed. Yay! Woo! Yeah! But moving on to the final 2 fights of the card. Rodolfo, Bellato. Rodolfo Gelato versus Paul Craig. And again, look at the odds on this one, dude. Are we forgetting? I'm going to pick Paul Craig. Are we forgetting who Paul Craig is? Come on, dude, lock in. This is sad. I don't like watching you lose like that. Especially to Bo Nickel. Fuck Bo Nickel. The thing is, that Bo Nickel fight, if that went to the ground, Paul Craig destroys him. He just got caught up too much in the tit for tat little battle. And I think he was also kind of scared of his chin after the Kyle Bahalio fight. He got knocked out really bad. But is this not screaming Paul Craig getting on top, getting a crazy ground and pound TKO finish? Come on, do you not feel this in the air, bro? Do you not feel it? And it's not even gonna be like an enclave, a fluke last second. Like, look at when I was rewatching Jimmy Crute versus Rodolfo Gelato. When Jimmy Crute knocked him over, he looked like a fat fucking seal on his belly rolling around. Like, when you see fighters in some of these compromising positions, it's hard to see some of these guys. And the commentary when you watch that fighter telling you, oh, this guy's the workhorse. They named him the big old sticky stone in Brazil. I can't remember the nickname. But like, he has a big old nickname. He has a big old legendary story in jiu-jitsu. And then proceeded to get controlled for the entire round by Jimmy Crute, who, by the way, went to draw with him. Jimmy Crute is allergic to not going to draws, apparently. But let's talk about Rodolfo Bellato a bit. I swear, both of his fights, same with the Tecia fight, he just unplugs his controller for the first minute, hopes you just gas yourself out by beating the shit out of him, then waits and waits and waits. Oh, you're gassed, plugs his controller back in, and just starts tit for tat, leg kicking you, jabbing you, scraping the fight back, and either finishing you or not doing enough, but still making it close enough to make it a draw. And fuck, if Paul Craig is dumb enough to fall for that, like, he's done it back to back to back to back. Lock in Paul Craig, trip him on his head, wait for this guy to, like, not be that same marauder power in round one, wait for round two, trip him up, get on top, watch this guy start freaking out like the fat little turd he is. And I know, big old hardcore fans, Jimmy Crute submitted Paul Craig, he got on top of Bellato, couldn't do anything. Dude, we're not even gonna do that right now. Paul Craig is a big old experienced crafty vet. That was a different Jimmy Crute. That's a washed up Jimmy Crute. Washed up in his early 30s, late 20s, of course. But no, Paul Craig, gonna lock in, gonna ground and pound finish this fool. I'm not even joking. This is the Paul Craig rebound where it's worth betting on the underdog here. Moving on. See, now, it's another big odds fight, but I don't see Gilbert winning this. I think this fight should be like minus 200 for Michael Morales, but Gilbert Burns is certified unk status now, I think. He's turning 39 in 1 month. Yes, I had to count the months out in my head. I am still a retarded UFC fan, but even though he ran through Neil Magny, after that, what are the quality of his wins? Couldn't finish a checked out Jorge Masvidal. Okay. Then, Bilal fight. I know he hurt his shoulder. Still, before that, not much happening. Not much of a crazy finish. Not much pushing. After that, Sean Brady fight. He just looked a shell of himself. There was not a moment where he went, oh, big moment from... It was like, no, he was constantly behind, not showing anything to get himself back in this fight. He was never in that fight, and he was at the top of the division for so long, but so much work in this division. But I think it's just that downslope we're catching, right? And I don't know, he's just not hurting guys. He doesn't have that same power, that same finishing instinct. Nor does he have that same grappling prowess where it's like, oh, IDJ, BJFFF, whatever the stupid tournaments are called. 7th degree black belt, where we submitted everyone. Sure, that works until you find a guy who can stuff a takedown and doesn't engage. Oh, wait, the jiu-jitsu doesn't work when you're getting teeped in the body from range? Oh, huh. Well, isn't that funny, right? Now let's switch to Michael Morales, because Michael Morales, I don't know if I'm falling for the hype or not, but I definitely didn't when he fought in the Contender Series. When he went to the decision with that guy, I was like, not too impressed. He'll probably get another couple close, boring fights in the UFC. Won't be anything. Fights the UFC. Oh, bright. Barely scraping by. Fights in the UFC. Barely scraping by against a higher level guy. I guess his skill ceiling's here. Does it again. Oh, now he's looking better. Now he's looking better. Now it's looking easier for him. Now he's spinning elbow Neil Magny. And I know it's Neil Magny. But come on. It was in round 1. It was impressive. And it was more recent than Gilbert Burns' Neil Magny one. And on top of that, let me make some direct comparisons. Let's look at Ian Gary. Let's look at Carvalho. And let's look at Michael Morales right now. What have they all done? Ian Gary wasn't on the Contender Series, and he did start with his first fight with being a finish. But after that, after they were in the UFC, what have they done? Barely scraping by, boring decision after boring decision after barely scraping by. And the second they got that step up, switch. Now they're getting finished. Now Carvalho got that Paul Craig finish, right? Now Ian Gary got the what's the guy's name? The 1986 big chest tattoo. Daniel Rodriguez, I think is his name. Head kicked him, right? Michael Morales, spinning elbow, Neil Magny. Oh, and then Carvalho after that, finishing, not finishing, but almost finishing Jared Cannonier. That's who it was. And I'm not saying that they were never at the skill level, but they just need the UFC. They need, and your fighters say this when they go up and they lose their big fights or they make it close. It's like, this is where I need to be at. This is the skill level. I'm trying to be equal. I know now. I know this is what it is. And when they have that close fight, the next fight, close fight, the next fight, they know, oh, I need this, this, this. This is what I did wrong. And they improve greatly. They're catching up a lot. And when they improve greatly, they catch up a lot. The fighters, like Gilbert Burns, he'll be studying this Neil Magny fight or the other fights. He's studying an unevolved Morales. We have a completely new Morales now. He's evolving so much. He's so young. I know he's 17-0, which is a very good record for an untested guy, but he's evolving so much. And there's so much you can't prepare for or study for when it's a young guy adding this to his game, adding that to his game. With all that being said, I still think it's a pretty close fight. It's going to feel like what Sean Brady did to Gilbert Burns, not in the same way. Also, Michael Morales, I remember the Contender Series, Ecuadorian wrestling accolades here and there. And do Ecuadorians have great wrestlers? Beats me. I don't know. But accolades better than no accolades. So hopefully that means he can stuff a double leg from Gilbert Burns. But with all that said, probably a 48-47 from Michael Morales. I don't think it'll be a finish. I think it'll be still a decently fun fight. But Michael Morales, that's all how I see it. Solid win. Not much to say. I don't think this gets him much further in the division. And that's good, because there's a massive logjam right now that needs to be solved. But that's how I have this card going. Thanks for watching. If I don't end myself, I'll try to upload a little more this week. But peace out. Bye-bye.